So thanks for letting me present via video. Sorry I couldn't be there today. So today I present on enablers of innovation in organisations. Source of insight for this presentation are basically three: flu tracking since 2006, our users and the people we've worked with, our team. 3 days at Google New York City in 2010, and then working with Silicon Valley innovators on online surveillance since 2012. Now, working with groups on the cutting edge can really help distill an understanding, but so can a book sometimes. This is a book, The Alchemy of Growth. The third author, David White, here is a friend of mine and actually someone I met on retreat meditating. He's an ex-McKinsey consultant. And the key insights from this book, and it really explains something which I couldn't put into words till I saw his presentation. He came to a board, a non-profit board that I sit on, and he gave us a presentation on these three horizons of growth. And basically he said there's this timeline along which a business, an agency, or an organisation operates, and there are these three horizons. And there's this core business. So it's a factory, it just makes widgets. You make little widgets and they're got to be all the same with very low defect rates and maybe 10,000 a week, and they go to your distribution shops and it all works very well. But for a business to grow and not lose its edge, it has to explore emerging businesses, moving from first horizon to second horizon. Emerging business might just mean different coloured widgets, slightly bigger widgets, smaller widgets, or it might mean moving into emerging markets, into the state or country next door. Then there's the third horizon, and this is completely different. This is not the same widgets. It mightn't even be widgets. It might be using the intellectual capital or insight into how you make widgets better, or how you stop making widgets. It's new experimental exploration of a completely new way of working. And it's claimed that this is necessary for any organisation to grow and to adapt to its environment, which will change. And basically Horizon 3 work requires different methods, different infrastructure, a different culture of innovation, and different personalities even to the earlier horizons. And there's often a creative tension, and David shared many stories of this, of tension between the Horizon 1 and Horizon 3 business units. These guys in the core business just want to keep the business going, They have to keep it securely functioning, profitable, and protect its current markets and current operations. And they think that the folks up here doing Horizon 3 work are risky. They think that this is doomed to fail, that it's a waste of money and distracts from the core business of the unit. And the folks in Horizon 3 think these guys are non-innovative, don't understand, things have to change. But this creative tension has to be managed, and this is something that John, our director, has been saying, is that when change happens like this, there will be inevitable tension, and it's important that while it should be disruptive, it shouldn't be destructive, that these three horizons all have legitimate but different functions, and while there may be a tension, it needs to be recognised that all are important roles, because this cannot exist without this, and vice versa. So let's first turn to the International Workshop on Innovation we held in Newcastle recently. We had innovators come from all over the world, but all of the innovations came from small teams or institutes that were optimised for innovation. It did not come from the large European, US or UK health departments that often had many, many thousands of employees and multi-million or multi-billion dollar budgets. So that was interesting. So then we held a seminar at HMRI, and some of the insights from that were that the leadership has to support the organisational structure for innovation. And Ciro, who's director of ISI Italy, a unique transdisciplinary institute was saying that flat organisations are very important. He said it's a good sign when people are unsure of who their boss is. Obviously, that's a particular organisation. He was also very strong, and so were the guys from Skoll, the eBay Foundation, and formerly Google, on openness and sharing of insights openly within the organisation. And some of the groups even had entrepreneurs in residence programs, people who worked as entrepreneurs elsewhere coming in and working in public health to bring entrepreneurial insights into the organisation. So, learning from 3 days at Google, I was invited there to help them review Google flu trends based on our work with flu tracking. So, what did I learn? Well, engineers can do great public health. There are lots of great young electronic computer science engineers, very transdisciplinary approach. They had this 20% time. 1 day a week they could do any experiment, anything they wanted to work on, their project. This was this idea of organisational slack, some space to experiment. They tested everything, and you can see some folks here doing the thinking aloud test, which we adopted in flu tracking, where you show people a web page and you say, okay, what do you think this is for? What do you think it does? What do you want to click on? If you click on it, what do you think it will do? Okay, I've clicked on it. Are you surprised? Is this what you expected? And this is based on building up a obvious design approach. That means there's no need for text explanations, that the design of the page is immediately obvious in both its form and function. And while you can ask people what they think, we also learned that you need to split test variations to different audiences and actually see how they interact with the page and see what works best. And the other thing that was not allowed at Google was the statement, that can't be done. There always has to be a way, or that until it's really proven something can't be done. Some other great quotes that came from Silicon Valley was this one: live in the future, then build what's missing. This comes from, and Chris is going to mention this, about working with cutting-edge collaborative organisations that are on the cutting edge, or in some ways in the future. And as one said, the future is not uniformly distributed. We don't all have equal access to that, but there are ways of trying to get an edge on that. And if you can see something that's missing from your work with leading edge groups, then you can try and build it. The other thing is, if you can imagine it, they can code it. So that is, whatever you can imagine, whatever manipulation of data or function you can imagine for software, if you can imagine it, then it can be coded. So some other case studies, government can be very innovative, and you might have heard of Skunk Works. The Lockheed Martin Skunk Works was a ring-fenced, small, innovative team that had to build the US jet engine fighters in 1943 within 1 year. And these were small teams that had very streamlined approval processes, flexible engagement of external experts, a lot of autonomy, and permission to experiment and fail if that happened, without terrible repercussions. Another agency, ARPA, the Agency for Advanced Research Projects, the US Department of Energy, a couple of weeks ago announced that they'd reached the holy grail of battery storage, and they'd even beaten Elon Musk of SpaceX and Tesla and Bill Gates to this. So, a small group using the same principles did really well, even though they were within government. And this, just thinking about application development and some learnings, reflections on the application development review we did last year. So in the past and currently in most public health organisations, applications or software applications that we use are built in-house by one or two people. Or there may be a tender process in which one local major developer wins and builds your application, and you're kind of married to them forever. But I think things are going to change a lot. It's going to be about discovering new apps. If you go on Product Hunt now, you'll see these popping up every few minutes, all these new applications. You can go on Beta List and see all these new applications that people are building, in India, all throughout Asia, in the US, Europe, Russia, and Reddit. And if you look at all of these, you're probably getting over 100 new software applications per week. And some of these will do things that you want to do. Even the developer may not know the application that you may put it to. You are the user who can help modify or adapt this application. So the implications of this digital public health and the abundance of applications that are being built out there is that practitioners of the future will be application development discoverers, testers and deployers, and this will be our challenge. And you may have heard of the ideal information worker, the T-shaped skilled worker, where across the top is their breadth of knowledge and skills, but a depth of experience in at least one area. This be an example for us, perhaps, T-shaped skills with public health being the main discipline, a deep discipline, specific expertise, but then a breadth across the top, perhaps developing design expertise, both for your display of data when you've got it and for your design of web pages, your user experience, ability to see if a website works. Web analytics is the web used, is how people are interacting with your website, and then social media to be the setting you may play in or how you promote your work online or your applications. So just briefly, some toys we play with in flu tracking and we're further exploring. Google Analytics, we can see how people flow through our website. We can see how many people are on the website at any one time, what they're clicking on, what they're doing. Flu tracking has quite a good Facebook presence. We boost almost every post we put up there and spend some money to increase its reach. 844 views of the post last week, 18,000 reach during the week, and 340 responses about our launch post. Hootsuite, when we're on so many different sites, we've got Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, it's often easy to manage them all from one site. When we have to experiment with new websites and new software and new surveys, then we're just starting to experiment with something that manages the difficulty of all these bugs and issue tracking called Debug Me. And this basically allows you to annotate all the bugs you find on your website and send them to a central repository for your developer and team to work through. And there's lots more I could go through, but maybe that's for the future. So look, just to say thank you and acknowledge the team and all the folks that have helped us learn along the way. Thank you very much.